Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Center podcast. I'm Emiliya Zhivotovskaya, your host and founder of the Flourishing Center. We are training the change agents of the world and equipping them with research-based tools for healthy, happy, and successful living. And we're so grateful that you're here.
This is your Flourishing Friday, where every Friday we bring you a positive psychology-based life hack that will help you to thrive. We look at real-life application of positive psychology while giving you different strategies, tips, and steps to put the science into practice.
Thanks for listening, and let's dive in. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Flourishing Fridays. Today, we're looking at a model that was recently introduced to me by one of our positive psychology practitioner graduates. And she came across this, unfortunately, through a difficult life experience that she had. Shauna had been through a massive life crisis where she was in a coma for 3 weeks based on this condition that she came down with. And when she came back to herself, she then had to spend months and months on a upward yet very difficult journey to healing and recovery. She had to learn how to walk again. She had to learn how to talk, how to move. And so much of her past few years have been a miracle of a story. And she's thriving and she's doing so well. But it's been definitely an obstacle. And recently I got together with her and shared how she reflected on what enabled her to be thriving the way that she is today. She said, Emiliya, it comes down to the fact that I had 3 things: awareness, access, and ability. And I thought, that is profound and a message worth sharing, a la TED, that when we think about how people begin to implement some of the tools and resources that they have, in particular when they're trying to navigate difficulty, awareness, access, and ability are the key. We talked about the fact that she was an occupational therapist and she had been a graduate of our positive psychology program and had done lots and lots of training on the side in different modalities. She knew about self-care and she knew what she was going to need in order to rehabilitate herself. She knew about body work. She knew about yoga. She knew about visualization. She knew about the power of community and her family and utilizing her character strengths and gratitude and all sorts of other things. So she knew about these things. She had awareness, but then she also had access to the types of support people that she needed in order to support her in the process. And she also had the ability, the means with which to pay for these resources, or thank goodness to be able to take the time off from work and to have her husband support and to have her children be taken care of. And it got me thinking about, yes, these are the 3 keys. I also began reflecting on my own life over the past couple of months, had gone through a major life challenge myself, probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to deal with. And something that left me kind of rocked for a couple of weeks, something that required me to seek out the support of my friends and loved ones, but then also seek out the support of coaches, of energy healers, of massage therapists, and something that had actually charged my nervous system so much that it also led to some gut disturbances in my body as well. And so I was so fortunate that I sought out the support of a nutritionist who specializes in the gut microbiome and has helped me heal my gut as well. And I kept hearing Shauna's voice in my head, how blessed I am that I have awareness, that I have access, and that I have the ability to implement these things. And as I was thinking about this whole process, I was thinking to myself that all 3 are things that we can actively build. So of course, people are trying to usually build their ability, meaning to have the financial means to be able to support themselves and the things that they need. That one's pretty standard. But then awareness for me involves being able to learn about things that support my mind and support my body and support my spirit. And then access is about seeking out the ability to get the type of support or to get the resources that you need. And again, again, I've been thinking about what happens when you have one of the three or two out of the three. So for example, you might have an awareness that eating healthy is important to you, and you might have the financial means to afford good, healthy food, but you happen to live in a place where the nearest supermarket or grocery store that sells healthy food is miles and miles away and it's just hard to get to. Or let's say you have the awareness that locally grown produce is much healthier than conventional and even organic is for you. And you have the means, you have the ability to pay for these resources, but you just don't have access to local farms around you. So 2 out of 3, you're not thriving. 1 out of the 3, just awareness of clearly is not enough, or clearly just having access to something but not knowing that it's important and not being able to afford it is not going to be helpful. We can also look at the 2 out of the 3. Let's say you have access to something and you have the ability to pay for it, but you don't know that it's good for you. You don't have awareness of it. And so then you are also not likely to put it into practice. And then even the worst, I think, of them all is you have awareness of something, you have access to it, but you can't afford it. You don't have the ability to pay for it. And that, I would imagine, is even harder because you're aware of it. You don't have that ignorance is bliss. So there you go. I've been juggling these 3 A's and just sort of thinking about them and having them come up in all sorts of places. And while this isn't a tool per se, one of the things that it definitely has helped me think about is that this is what happens when people are actually thriving despite the obstacles that they're facing, is that they are able to implement these 3 A's. It also helped me take a moment to really pause and appreciate for the awareness, access, and ability that I do have. And so I invite you to think about what is something that you have awareness, access, and ability for that maybe you do that you can express some gratitude for, because this, in fact, is something that I think is worth savoring. So for example, I am aware of the importance of spending time in nature, and I am so grateful that despite the fact that I live in concrete jungle in New York City, I live close to the park. I'm on the water and able to walk right into Riverside Park whenever I want. And I take meetings there and client calls there whenever I can and the weather permits, so I can spend time outside. And so I have the ability to do this as well. So I have access, ability, and awareness. And that's worth expressing gratitude for. What are things that you have awareness, access, and ability for that you can savor a little bit more? And what can you do to increase these 3 pathways? Can you continue to learn about ways that people support their own well-being and learn more about how your mind works and how your body works? Can you increase your access by learning about practitioners and tools and systems that might be helpful to you? One way to do this is just simply asking the people closest to you, hey, who are your favorite go-to people? Or what are your favorite go-to tools that support you? Are there apps that people are using that you can get access to? Are there people in your community that are acupuncturists or chiropractors or massage therapists, or anyone who's passionate and supportive in what they do? Can you build your access? And of course, ability. And I focused on ability being financial, but it can be the ability referring to lots of other things, like the actual being able-bodied to do something. So when I exercise, I've been contemplating how grateful I am that I have the awareness of understanding how important high-intensity interval training is for my body. I'm aware of what it's doing in conditioning my heart. I'm aware of how it's supporting my body in getting the peak performance type of conditioning that it needs. I have access to opportunities, not just to do high interval intensity training on my own, but so grateful that I have classes nearby here in New York City that I can take with other crazy people that enjoy high intensity interval training. And then I have the ability to do it, not just the financial means to take classes, but I am able-bodied. My body can support box jumps and burpees and push-ups and running as fast as I can for short periods of time with recovery. All of this is something that I've been celebrating and giving gratitude for, and it enables us to really savor these small little things that maybe otherwise we would take for granted. So there you have it, the 3 A's of resilience. We can call it the 3 A's of flourishing, of thriving, of pushing through. We can also call it the 3 A's of being opportunistic, being able to actually utilize the things that we have to the fullest potential. Thanks for listening to this episode of Flourishing Fridays. And if you'd like to hear more, check out our previous episodes. Please subscribe so that you can hear about all the new episodes as we put them out. And leave us a comment, leave us some feedback. This is one of the most powerful gifts you can give back to us here at the Flourishing Center and our podcast, because we know that it's your word, it's your perspective, it's your feedback that gets people to know that there's something yummy happening here at the Flourishing Center podcast that they might want to tune into as well. So thank you for the support, and we look forward to connecting with you soon.
This episode is brought to you by the Positive Education Certification Program. We're calling all school teachers, grades K through 12, to learn how to teach skills for happiness, resilience, and academic tenacity to children. Empowered teachers build thriving students. Learn more about our comprehensive model at positiveeducator.org.
Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. I want to encourage you to tell us, what would you love to hear more about? Is there an area of positive psychology you'd love to get some more information on in terms of the research? Give us a shout out at info@theflourishingcenter.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I wish you a wonderful, flourishing day.